Welcome to Eagle Communications Channel 2. This is Abilene Means Business, and I'm James Holland, the Executive Director of the Abilene Area Chamber of Commerce. And this is our last show of 2015, and 2015 also happens to be here in the next week and a half. Our good friend Glenda Purkis, who's the Convention Visitors Bureau Director, will be retiring after an illustrious career in Kansas. All of it in Kansas, correct?
Yes, all in Kansas, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna visit a little bit with Glenda, but just to give you a background about, I'll just give you a little bit of background on what the CVB is versus the Chamber. They're very closely related in terms of what they do, but the Convention Visitors Bureau is a department of the city, which is funded in part by a bed tax, which is something the state legislature allows.
Yes.
And and it's designed to promote tourist activities and get people into hotels overnight. And that's the primary purpose of the Convention Visitors Bureau. But there's a lot that goes into that, which is tourism related. Of course, the Chamber is all about, our purpose is to promote commerce in a more general form. And so there is quite a bit of overlap in those two things. So, but anyway, Glenda, you've actually worked for both chambers and CVBs before.
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about some of the, over, I don't know how many years you've been in the business.
But long time. I actually started in my hometown of Norton in 1970. I was just a young pup boy. And I was there 12 years, then I went to Russell. Was there 6 years during the time that Dole announced that he was going to run for president. And from there I went to Atchison, and I was in Atchison 16 years before coming here. And been here 8 years, 11 months. I did work 3 years for the Northwest Kansas Planning and Development Commission as Regional Tourism Director for 18 counties. So it's been a good long career, a lot of experiences, and it's time to go.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and have you, I imagine you've seen a lot of changes in tourism over the years. Kind of talk a little bit about, I mean, let's share with our audience a little bit about tourism as an industry and what it does to our communities.
Yes, and tourism has come a long way. When I started in the industry, it really wasn't recognized as an industry, as a form of economic development. It was just something that made you feel warm and fuzzy, and you handed out maps and directions, but it really wasn't, the economic impact of tourism wasn't given a second thought back then. Since then, it is a form of economic development. People do recognize that. We still have a long way to go, but it's better than it was. The state, I can remember when the state tourism budget was, $500,000. And now, well, we don't know what it's going to be this next year, but it's a little under $5 million. It's still not enough to do what needs to be done in the area of tourism. Sure. But it's better than it was. Yep. Yes. And the impact of tourism, people just don't realize that when a visitor comes to town and they shop, 80% say that their number one activity is shopping. They shop, they eat, they fill their car with gas, they spend the night. That creates quite an economic impact, and then that rolls over in the community several times. So it's pretty major. Sure.
And I think that shopping as a tourist activity has kind of grown over the years. And it's almost to the point where some places are destinations simply because of their shopping.
Yes.
And so it's not even oriented towards your museums and your artifacts and those types of things, but it's a place where you have destination dining and unique retail seems to be a very big growing component of a tourism type of market.
Absolutely.
So how do you kind of see Abilene fitting into that realm right now? I mean, where we've been and where we're headed? What are your thoughts?
Well, retail on Main Street, as you know, has changed tremendously over the years, and you don't have the basics, the shoe stores, the clothing stores, the what I call the staples that people stay in town to shop for. But what we do have is what I call, and really everybody calls, destination retail. We have a lot of artisan shops, and that's used to be mom and pop shops. Now it's just mom shops. And they create their own product, and that brings people in. That brings women in that want girls' days out, and a lot of people in to see that form of art, which it is, from jewelry to candles to lotions, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we do have, I mean, per capita, we do have quite a bit of
Yes.
that type of unique retail. And I think one of the other sectors that sometimes I hear people lament, like, do we really need one more antique store? But the fact is, on a Sunday,
yes,
in particular, but certainly Saturday,
yes,
that's what draws a lot of people into this town. And
it absolutely does.
the more people that could come and hit the more antique shops, the longer they're going to stay. They might make it a 2-day trip.
Yes,
and
yes,
yeah. Those are things.
And we don't have as many antique stores as we did because people have retired. But invariably, every time I go to a travel show or the state fair, people will come up to the booth and say, "Oh, I love your town. You have so many antique stores." And people love to shop antique stores. So
they do,
that's a huge part. And you add that with our artisan stores, we are definitely a destination retail.
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, and I think the media kind of really pushes that along with your, you've got your Pawn Stars, which is antique related or artifact related. You've got your Antiques Roadshow, which has been running for years and years and years.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's there has been an increased awareness of those things, and then the most recently, probably in the last 5 years, has been this adaptive reuse of items.
Repurpose?
Repurposing or upscaling or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever tagline today is what's in style, but that definitely seems to bring some people into town.
It sure does.
I still debate how many people are buying those things versus getting ideas to go build it themselves at home.
Oh, a little bit both, yeah.
And Pinterest has certainly caused that to blow up.
Yeah.
So, but it'd be interesting to see where that industry goes.
It will
in the future. So.
Yeah, and with the diversity that we have we're destination restaurants, destination dining, because all of our restaurants, with the exception of the fast food, are independently owned, and a lot of people like independently owned restaurants, not chains. So that brings a group, and then you've got the history, the museums, and then the shopping. So we attract more than just one group. Yeah.
And a couple of years ago we had a real shock to this community as far as the destinations go. With the loss of the Kirby House and the Great Plains Theater location. 2 anchors of downtown gone in that 1 year. That was certainly a shocking thing, but it's good to see the Great Plains Theater is still very active and has a beautiful new facility. So hopefully that gets on. And I was talking to a food franchisor here recently, and he said that this is an underserved market for restaurants, and it's no shock to us, but we do have a good selection of what we do have. So there's room for a few more, probably.
Oh yeah. Because our tourism is a huge industry, and so the more offerings that we have, the more people that we're going to be able to attract to town, whether it's restaurants or museums or shopping. Yeah.
Now, the impacts are. People call tourism kind of the clean industry because there's no smokestacks and those types of things going on. But talk about its impact on the local economy versus, let's say, some more base employment, some industrial type of employment, different types of jobs, those types of things.
Yeah, it is a clean and has always been called a clean industry in that to compare that with manufacturing, you don't have to put in new streets for tourists. They come in, of course, the streets have to be in good shape, but you know, when you bring in a manufacturer, put them in an industrial park, they need streets and sewer and all that stuff. With tourists, it's already in place, and so it's very little cost to the community, but the benefit is 10 times over.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some opportunities? I mean, as you're going to be stepping away from it and looking back at it, you know, what are the things that you think Abilene either has missed the boat on recently in your tenure, or what do you think is coming forward that we need to be taking advantage of?
You know, one thing that I had hoped to accomplish was to be able to get another hotel, and haven't been able to do that. We have had developers, more than one developer, look at Abilene, but it just didn't happen for various reasons. We are losing a lot of bed tax, which, you know, our budget, probably 90% of our budget comes from the bed tax. We are losing revenue to the surrounding towns because people come here to play and then they drive to Junction City or Salina to spend the night. So I hope, whether it's through more bed and breakfasts or another hotel, I hope that more lodging can be provided our tourists. That's number one. You know, we have suffered several losses in the last few years, both in retail and, of course, Kirby and Great Plains and American Indian Arts Center. People just aren't aware of the number and the destinations that they came from to come to Abilene to shop at the Indian Arts Center. And so that's a loss too, and probably one that won't be replaced. Yeah, exactly. But you know, we keep doing what we're doing to try to expand the diversity.
Yeah, and now the hotel discussion, a couple things about that. Most of the hotel developers you talk to, are they looking for a local investor group?
Yes.
So most of them are that way, correct? I mean, they want a local investor.
In a smaller, in a smaller community, you have to go that extra mile and come up with a group of local investors. You know, in the larger communities, they don't even consider local investors because the market's bigger. But in a small town, they want that local commitment, local investment. So that's been difficult to come up with. The land, you know, they want as close to interstate as possible. They want to be visible from interstate. And so even coming 3 blocks, 4 blocks off of interstate is a stretch for the developers that I worked with.
Right. And that's unfortunate here in Abilene because who has one of the primary corners at the interstate?
Yeah. KDOT.
The Kansas Department of Transportation has the best real estate in Abilene right now.
And you were in that meeting when we even talked about moving that.
I've been in a lot of meetings.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, with the hotel developers too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that went well, didn't it? Yeah. Dealing with the state, but anyway. We won't bark on that. But anyway.
Well, with a lot of money, you can do anything, right? And,
sure.
You know, when it costs a couple $2 million to move that facility.
Yeah, they wanted it turnkey.
And it had to come from the local community. Didn't work, but we tried.
Yeah, we talked about it. So anyway, that was I do think that's one of the real challenges, and I see it not just in hotels, but when you're talking about local investor groups, I think people in general aren't reinvesting in their community or in some of the businesses in their community unless they are the owner of that business.
Yes.
For whatever reason, people are willing to let the money sit and get a better rate of return in a CD than they are, to go out and invest it and try to make some money on it.
Absolutely.
Granted, there's risk, but there's also could be a significant upside. And
there sure could.
And I think most reputable hotel developers are going to tell you, the first couple of years, it's an investment and it's not making a whole lot, but it's at the 3rd, 4th, 5th year that it
that's what
builds
we
the
were
client
told.
base that it really
Yes,
starts doing
yes.
good. So.
Abilene, with as many historic homes as we have, is a prime market for bed and breakfast. But again, you have to be committed to 24/7
Right.
living in the home
Yeah.
and cooking breakfast.
Well, and a lot of people have a
Having
psychological block against having strangers
in your home.
Yeah, yeah.
But gosh, I have known of communities that have 30, 40 B&Bs in their town.
Yeah.
And we have the homes for it. We have the fabric. We just
Sure.
don't have the people that want to.
Just don't have the willpower or the interest in that
that's
particular
right.
way to go.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going down the scale here. You've got hotels, right? And you got your bed and breakfasts. And share with the viewers a little quirky thing about bed and breakfasts and bed tax.
Oh, well, the state statute, which was passed in the 70s actually, says that if you have 3 rooms or more, then you collect the bed tax. And the original statute was a 2% tax, which was the first form of revenue for communities to promote tourism.
Right.
And in fact, when I was in Norton, we were the first town in northwest Kansas to implement the bed tax and create a CVB, a tourism office, through that bed tax. It was only 2% at that time. Well, then communities found out that you could charter out of the state statute and increase the bed tax.
Right.
So a lot of communities did that. There's just a couple in northwest Kansas that I know of that is still charging the 2% and will not charge more than that. But now most communities are 5% or more.
Yeah.
So if you have 3 rooms, according to the state statute, you collect bed tax. If you have under 3 rooms, then you don't collect the bed tax. Colleges also cannot collect bed tax. And I know in my former community, we had a college, and because there was such a shortage of hotel rooms, the college would open their dorm rooms during the summer and basically fill them for major events. They could not, and they wanted to collect the bed tax, but they could not collect the bed tax.
Yeah.
So that's revenue
That's interesting.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 rooms or above. If you're
3
a bed and
rooms above.
breakfast, 3 rooms and above,
Yes.
you have to charge it.
Yeah.
But if you're 2 rooms
Yeah, you don't.
or below, you don't.
Right,
And
yeah.
that's kind of a quirky little thing. But and of course you're aware of the new trend, which actually my parents take advantage of, which is more like the Airbnb. Or the traveler to traveler sort of circumstance, which basically, if I own a home and I've got a spare room, I join this travel club, and anybody within that club can call me and say, hey, we're going to be in town, and can we stay in the room? And it's a nominal fee or something like that.
Yes.
So I know, my parents and some other folks I know have traveled across the country doing that situation there. That, of course, is under the radar of any type of bed tax at all. And so somebody can actually come into town, rent a house, or be a guest at a house for up to a week or whenever, and be a traveler and not have a bed tax on it. So the whole marketplace is different now.
It is.
So.
And the internet has opened that area up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I told you this before, that when, again, in my first community, we were the pheasant capital of Kansas, and not enough hotel rooms, and so during pheasant season, the chamber kept a list of private homes that had a spare bedroom or 2 that would rent them to hunters.
Yeah.
Same concept as Airbnb, except we didn't have the internet back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can remember my mother coming to stay with me, moving out of her home, her 3-bedroom home, and renting the whole house out to hunters during pheasant season, and made extra money that way. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's the same
Helps
concept.
pay the bills,
yeah,
sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the internet has opened it up worldwide, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. But, so, and we're going to be running out of time here pretty soon, and you and I could talk for about an hour and a half about this stuff.
Yes.
But this is only a 20-minute show, so.
Oh, shucks.
I'm sorry.
And my last.
But-
What
and
am I
your
going to
last,
do?
Right. Well, maybe we'll tack on a few extra minutes if the cameraman will let us. But very quickly, let's talk about the internet again and how it's changed marketing for tourism.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'm still technologically challenged, so, you know, there's so much that needs to be done and will be done, I'm sure. But, you know, people, they still like the printed piece, but not as many want the printed piece. With the smartphones, if you've got that website that is smartphone compatible, they'd rather just bring it up on their phone instead of get that brochure.
See, I think some people want the printed piece after they've already arrived.
Yes,
you know,
they do, and that's why we have a visitor center,
Right.
so that they can get the printed piece. But and with Google and everything that goes along with social media marketing, it's a whole new world out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to stay up on it too.
Yeah, and I think something that the Heritage Center is working on, which is really neat, is actual self-guided tours based on GPS location. And so essentially how that would work is you would download an app or go to a website, and it would, as long as you had the locator turned on your smartphone, you could click, okay, boom, stand in front of a building, click it, and it'll tell you about that building.
Yes.
Through your phone. So, you know, self-guided tours and this type of thing is probably coming fairly quickly. And I know the Heritage Centers, they're really
right
looking
there.
at doing some of those things. So
we're actually doing that with the Chisholm Trail all the way through Kansas. The statewide group has looked into doing that, a tour, you know, on the app. You can pull up the app and see the sites. So,
it's changed. Times they are changing,
yes,
aren't they?
Yes, they
From
have.
1970 to
oh my,
to 2015. Cool. Well, 45 years in the business, huh?
Yes,
Very
45 good years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's next for Glenda Purkis?
Grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
Yep, I have two that live here, and planning on spending a lot of time with them. And you know, I want to travel. Just simple things like explore Kansas. You know, I know Kansas fairly well, but I haven't been able to take the time to really see Kansas. I want to do that, and I want to take my grandchildren with me. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I know you've already been asked to be on every committee in town so
well,
far,
not quite,
but pretty close. And then you've said no, probably, or up till
Maybe.
now. Yeah, so that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure working with you for
same here
for
same
several
here.
different years.
Yes.
And
in different capacities.
Different capacities, yes, absolutely.
And the partnership with the Chamber and CVB is just fantastic.
It's better now than it's been in quite a while.
Yes, it has.
I think it's
enjoyed it.
It's been a good relationship.
Yes.
So
thank you.
And getting better, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, as we're closing 2015, and this is our last show here at Abilene Means Business, and it's going to be a new year, new things coming at the CVB and the Chamber, lots of good things happening. So we're going to be working hard to bring commerce to Abilene in the area. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about, give me a call at 263-1770. And if you're not a member, you should look into that. If you want to volunteer,
Absolutely.
you should look into that.
Yes.
You know, it takes a lot of people pulling on the rope to improve our communities and build stronger economies, and that's what we're working to do, and we could certainly use your help. So anyway,
yes.
I hope you have a good new year in 2016. I'll sign out for now. This is James Holland with the Abilene Area Chamber of Commerce here on Abilene Means Business.